parents secretly gave my sister $1,000 a week while I paid for her education because they had no money. When I found out, I cut them off and took money back. I've always worked hard. I'm talking about the kind of hard where you sacrifice your sleep, your weekends, and your sanity just to keep things afloat. For most of my life, it felt worth it. My parents raised me to believe that family comes first, and if you're the oldest, you step up. That's the way it works. So when my parents came to me and practically begged me to help out with my younger sister, Ashley, I didn't hesitate. They said they were drowning financially. College was just too expensive, and Ashley's scholarships barely made a dent. They told me they had exhausted all their options, that no one else could help her, and that if I didn't step in, Ashley's future would be ruined. "Please," my mother said one night after dinner. "She needs this. You're the only one who can help her right now." And like an idiot, I bought it. For the last year and a half, I worked overtime, double shifts, freelance gigs, whatever it took. I scraped together enough to pay for Ashley's tuition, her books, even her meal plan. It wasn't easy. My own social life virtually disappeared. I downgraded my apartment to something cheaper and started cutting out small luxuries like going out to eat or buying new clothes. But I told myself it was worth it. Family comes first, right? Meanwhile, Ashley was acting like her usual selfish, spoiled self, completely oblivious to how much I was doing for her. She wasn't exactly humble about her lifestyle either. She'd show up at family dinners with the latest gadgets, designer bags, and trendy clothes. At first I thought, maybe she's just good at shopping on a budget. But then she got the new iPhone, the just-released kind of new. So I casually asked her, "Hey, how do you afford that?" "Oh," she said, flipping her hair, "my new boyfriend got it for me. He's super generous." I didn't think much of it at the time. Ashley has always had a string of boyfriends who have spoiled her. She's the kind of girl guys throw money at, so it wasn't all that surprising. But a few weeks later, things didn't add up. She started showing off even more expensive stuff, high-end headphones, a fancy smartwatch, another designer bag. "Your boyfriend must be loaded," I joked during one of her visits. She just smiled. "Yeah, something like that." I brushed it off and thought, good for her. At least she's not wasting my money on this stuff. Then came the day it all fell apart. I'd just gotten home from another exhausting double shift. As I walked in, I heard voices coming from the kitchen. Ashley, my mom, and my dad. They were laughing, loud and carefree, in a way I hadn't heard in years. And then, clear as day, Ashley said, "Honestly, it's hilarious. We haven't spent a dime on school, and he's out there killing himself for it." I froze. My dad chuckled. "Well, it's not like we could tell him about the extra money. He'd lose his mind." Ashley chimed in. "That's perfect. He just thinks I'm dating a rich guy. Meanwhile, I'm getting $1,000 a week. Life has never been better." I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. $1,000 a week? What the hell were they talking about? That's when I realized they'd been playing me all along. My body moved before my mind could catch up. I stormed into the kitchen and the laughter stopped instantly. The three of them froze like deer in the headlights, their faces going through shock, guilt, and worst of all, a flicker of annoyance. "What the hell did I just hear?" I asked. No one answered. My mom and dad exchanged glances, and Ashley stared at the floor, suddenly fascinated by her shoes. $1,000 a week? I continued. "You've been giving her $1,000 a week while I've been breaking my back to pay for her school. Are you serious?" My dad cleared his throat as if trying to come up with a good excuse. "Look, we were going to tell you, Dash." "When?" I cut him off. "After I dropped dead of exhaustion?" Ashley, finally deciding to speak up, said, "Okay, calm down. It's no big deal. It's not like you're broke or anything." "Not a big deal?" I repeated, almost laughing. "I've been living on instant noodles for months, Ashley. I sold my car to make sure your tuition was paid. Do you even understand what that means?" My mom stepped in and tried to defuse the situation. We didn't mean for it to happen this way. We didn't want to burden you with everything at once. I stared at her in disbelief. Burden me? You led me to believe that I was the only one who could help her. You said you had no money. My father sighed and rubbed his temples. We had a little bit put aside. It wasn't enough for school, but we thought Ashley deserved something for herself while she was studying so hard. Ashley snorted and muttered. It's not like I asked for it. That was it. I snapped. You didn't ask for it? Are you kidding me? You've been flaunting it in my face, your new phone, your bags, all that crap. Meanwhile, I'm the idiot paying for your education. Ashley rolled her eyes. Oh, stop acting like a martyr. You're the one who offered to help. Because Mom and Dad made me. I shot back. The room went silent again. No one looked at me. My parents wouldn't even meet my eyes, as if they couldn't handle the fact that their plan had blown up in their faces. I took a step back, suddenly feeling like a complete fool. Unbelievable, I muttered. Did you really think I wouldn't find out? My father finally spoke, his voice soft. We didn't want to hurt you. We just wanted Ashley to have the best start in life. I laughed bitterly. And what about me? Don't I matter? Or am I just your cash cow? No one answered. The betrayal hit me like a punch in the gut. All the nights I'd stayed up late worrying about bills. All the sacrifices I'd made thinking I was helping my family. And here they were, sitting in the kitchen, laughing at how they tricked me. Something inside me shifted at that moment. I wasn't going to let them get away with it. I stood there for what seemed like an eternity, staring at the three of them. The silence was suffocating, but I wasn't going to be the one to break it. I wanted to see if any of them had the courage to say something, anything that might make this betrayal less painful. But they didn't. All right, I said finally, my voice calm but cold. If that's the way it is, then I'm done. My mother's head shot up. What do you mean, done? I mean I'm done paying for Ashley's school. Done working myself to death for this family. Done being the guy you take advantage of. Ashley scoffed. You're being so dramatic. I ignored her and turned to my parents. You want her to have the best start in life? Fine. Then you can pay for it yourself. My dad tried to protest. Wait, let's not make any rash decisions here, Dash. Rash? I interrupted. Rash was you lying to me for a year and a half. Rash was you giving her $1,000 a week while I struggled to pay her tuition. This is me finally putting myself first. I turned and headed for the door. Where are you going? My mother called after me. To fix this, I said without looking back. The first thing I did was call the college. I explained that I'd been the one paying for Ashley's tuition, and I wanted to see if there was a way to put a hold on her account. They told me that since the payments were coming out of my bank account, I had every right to put a hold on them. I did it right then and there. The next call was to my bank. I'd set up a joint account with my parents to make it easier for them to manage Ashley's expenses while I was at work. Big mistake. I immediately had the account frozen. It was petty, sure. But in the moment, I didn't care. They had been using my money to fund Ashley's shopping sprees, and I wasn't going to let that continue. When I got home that night, the storm hit. My parents were waiting for me in the living room, and they were furious. You froze the account? My dad demanded. Yes, I said. What were you thinking? My mom added. How is Ashley going to pay for her classes now? That's not my problem anymore, I replied. You've made it clear that I'm just a paycheck to you. So figure it out. Ashley walked in, looking more annoyed than upset. Seriously, dude? You're just going to screw me over like this? I looked at her and said, I didn't screw you over. You did that all by yourself. She opened her mouth to say something, but I cut her off. I heard you laughing about it, Ashley. About how I was an idiot for paying while you got free money from Mom and Dad. Do you have any idea how humiliating that was? I killed myself for you and you couldn't even say thank you. She rolled her eyes again. Oh my God, get over yourself. I turned to my parents. And you too? I hope it was worth it, because I'm done. Don't call me for money, don't ask me for favors, and don't expect me to bail you out of this mess. My mother started to cry. My father just looked defeated. But I didn't feel bad, not this time. I was done being the one they leaned on while they lied to my face. I went to my room, packed a bag, and left the house that night. A few weeks after I left, I began to feel like I could finally breathe again. No more guilt trips, no more constant work to keep up with their demands. For the first time in years, I wasn't living paycheck to paycheck. Then, one Sunday afternoon, there was a knock on my door. It was my mother. She looked nervous, holding a casserole dish. "Can we talk?" she asked. I didn't really want to, but I let her in. She sat down at my table, fidgeting, while I stood across from her. "We miss you," she said. "It's not the same without you." I crossed my arms. "What do you want?" She hesitated. "We've been thinking, maybe it's time to put this behind us. Start fresh." I stared at her. "Start fresh? After everything?" "I know we made mistakes," she said. "But we're family." I shook my head, not buying it. "You didn't come here to apologize. What do you really want?" She sighed. "All right. We need your help. Things have been difficult since you left." I almost laughed. "Difficult? You mean since I stopped being your ATM?" She didn't answer, just looked down at her hands. I thought about slamming the door on this whole conversation, but instead an idea came to me. "All right," I finally said. "I'll consider it. But I need access to everything, your accounts, your expenses. No more secrets." She looked startled. "That's not. Take it or leave it," I said. After a pause, she nodded. "Fine. I'll talk to your father." Once I had access, it didn't take long to find what they were hiding. They'd been hoarding money in a separate savings account, far more than they'd let on. It wasn't just for Ashley, it was years' worth of hidden cash. I confronted them at a family meeting. "You lied to me," I said, throwing the statements on the table. "You weren't broke. You just didn't want to spend your money." They tried to explain, saying it was for retirement or emergencies. But I didn't listen. This time I meant it when I walked out. They weren't going to fool me again. With them completely cut off, I focused on moving forward. Weeks turned into months, and while I still felt the sting of betrayal, I began to rebuild. Then one day, out of the blue, I got a call from Ashley. "I know you don't want to hear from me," she said quickly, "but you need to know what Mom and Dad are doing." I almost hung up, but something in her tone stopped me. "What now?" I asked. "They're trying to get a loan in your name," she said. I froze. "What?" "They're desperate. They haven't been able to keep up with everything since you left. I overheard them talking about using your information to apply for a loan, saying it was their only option." I felt my stomach drop. "You've got to be kidding me." "I just thought you should know," she added. After I hung up, I immediately checked my credit report. Sure enough, there was a new inquiry from a bank I didn't recognize. They'd actually gone through with it. Furious, I went straight to her house. My dad opened the door and looked surprised to see me. "Oh, hey," he started, but I pushed past him into the living room. "Did you really think I wouldn't find out?" I said, holding up the credit report. My mom, who was sitting on the couch, paled. "We can explain," she said. "Explain what?" I snapped. "That you tried to take out a loan in my name? After everything you've already done?" My dad jumped in. "We were going to pay it back. It was just temporary, Dash." "Temporary?" I interrupted. "You stole from me. Again." My mom started to cry, saying they were out of options, that they didn't know what else to do. But I wasn't buying it anymore. "You always have an excuse," I said. "But this is it. I'm done with you. Forever." I walked out of that house, knowing that this time there was no coming back. I filed a fraud report the next day, and while I didn't press charges, I made sure their loan application was denied. It hurt to cut them off completely. But sometimes even family crosses a line you can't come back from. After shutting down their loan scam, I felt a strange mix of relief and sadness. They were my parents, my family, but there was nothing left to save. They had made their choice, and now I had to make mine. A month later, I received a letter in the mail. It wasn't from a bank or a lawyer, it was from Ashley. Handwritten, no less. In it, she admitted that she'd known more about Mom and Dad's plans than she'd let on. She apologized for going along with it, saying she was afraid of losing the support she'd always counted on. She wrote that seeing me stand up for myself made her realize how much she'd let them control her, too. She ended the letter by saying that she wanted to make things right. She had dropped out of college for the semester, gotten a part-time job, and was working on paying me back the money I'd spent on her tuition. I didn't know how to feel. Part of me was still angry, but another part of me felt like maybe, just maybe, she was finally growing up. I didn't answer the letter right away. Instead, I focused on myself, my career, my life, my happiness. For the first time, I didn't have the weight of my family's problems on my shoulders. Months went by before Ashley reached out again. This time it was a text message. *Hey, I know I don't deserve this, but if you're up for it, I'd like to talk. I miss my big brother. I sat with this message for a long time. Finally, I decided to meet her for coffee. When I saw her, she looked different, not in her clothes or her makeup, but in the way she carried herself. She was calmer, more grounded. She told me she'd been working, saving, and slowly learning to be independent. "I don't expect you to forgive me," she said, "but I want to earn your trust back." It wasn't a magic fix. I didn't suddenly forget everything that had happened. But it was a start. As for my parents, I haven't spoken to them since. They've tried to reach out a few times, leaving voicemails about how they're struggling or how they miss me. But I've learned my lesson. Sometimes family doesn't mean forgiveness. Sometimes walking away is the only way to truly move on. After meeting Ashley and seeing the changes she was making, I started to feel like maybe there was a way forward. I didn't go back to being her financial crutch, but I slowly let her back into my life. Over time, she proved that she was serious about taking responsibility. She kept her part-time job and even started doing small freelance jobs to cover her own expenses. She enrolled in community college to get her degree at a lower cost and made it clear that she didn't expect me to bail her out anymore. Still, she struggled at times, especially with the workload and figuring things out on her own. That's where I stepped in, not as her savior, but as her brother. If she needed help proofreading an essay, I'd take a look. If she didn't have enough money for textbooks, I'd occasionally pitch in, but only after she'd exhausted her own efforts. It wasn't like before. There were no guilt trips, no manipulation, just simple help when she really needed it. Eventually, things between us felt normal again. It wasn't perfect, and I still kept my distance from our parents, but Ashley and I found a way to rebuild what we had almost lost. Looking back, I realized that helping her wasn't the problem. It was allowing myself to be taken advantage of. This time, I made sure the boundaries were clear and she respected them. It wasn't the relationship we had before, but maybe that was for the best. This one felt stronger, built on trust and mutual effort, not lies and guilt. And for the first time in a long time, I felt like I had my sister back.